What's up, guys? This is another edition of Worlds on Fire. So I'm going to get right into it because there's so much going on, as you know, and some of this stuff I can put on the YouTube. Other times I cannot put it on the YouTube. I'm going to react to a few videos. Here we are. Are you ready?
Stop! Okay.
Happy.
That money was for payroll, mother. Okay, I won't raise any capital. Because we're exploring a sale.
I should be fine. Ah, come on.
This is absolutely brilliant. I don't know who that guy is. I'll tag him in the fucking video. He's so funny, but so smart. Brilliant. It's scary times out there. I'm tired right now because I was not sleeping last night. I'm just going to be blunt with you. Like, since last Wednesday, my boy hit me up, who's deep in the game, and was like, hey, you know about this bank? And I'm like, no. And it was like, yeah, they raised capital, but they were $1.5 billion short. And I was like, okay. And he's like, how do you not know about this? You would know about this before me. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't bank with them. He's like, yeah, but this could be the domino. Let me explain this to you. So I do many things in my life. One of the things I do is I do invest in startups. I've gotten my clock cleaned a few times, but I've definitely have also made money. I'm still a little bit under water, but I've made more back recently. Certain things have come through. And this guy is one of my startups that I did make money with. We hit a double. So he's really dialed in. I was like, okay. The next day, he texts me at 6 a.m., which you know I don't get up, and he's like, SVB's down 86%. I'm like, what? I fall back asleep. I wake up. He's like, yeah, First Republic's getting hit. Long story boring is I was up the last 2 weeks because I have money at First Republic, and I didn't want to, I still have some money there, but I've definitely made some shifts. And this might be a little boring of a fucking talk to you, but it's fascinating. You know, you're only insured up into X amount of money in the bank. But the thing is that who even knows if that's insured, right? Like the FDIC is supposed to back it, but if you look at the numbers, it's only like 150 billion, and there's like 3 trillion in the fucking money game that they'd have to fucking back up. So, it's wild. Like, I'm much more prone to what people say conspiracies are, and I definitely believe this is the leading into the digital dollar. This is a little bit above my pay grade and heady, but I can tell you the basics. That guy's video is incredible. But basically, Peter Thiel yanked all his money out. The fucking bottom fell out. It's like this. Here's what it is. Here's what the banks are and the bank run is. Banks only... This is what's crazy. If you give a bank $1, I'm sure you guys know this, but this is why the financial system is completely Ponzi scheme. If you give a bank $1, that bank says thank you, and then it sends you a little sheet that says you have $1 in your account. Okay, but really, what you have in your account is no dollar, and the dollar is actually 9 times negative. Does that make sense? It's called fractional reserve banking or fractional or something like that. Whatever it is, the people in the comments will know. But basically, in a nutshell, for some God knows reason, the reserve, and you can go down that rabbit hole and all those things, the Fed and all this shit, the central bank, all this shit. Basically, in a nutshell, since I've been born, gold has never been backed as the money standard, and that's when things took a turn. But they really took a turn on Jekyll Island 100 years ago. You can look that video up. This is heady for some of you guys, and how basically the Fed was born. But basically, in a nutshell, for every dollar that's in the bank, it's lended 9 times for them to make money. And they're just thinking that no one is going to come and collect, right? And so how can I say this? If you bought and you have $1,000 of stuff on credit and you can only pay $100 a month, and you have 3 credit cards that have $1,000 each, and you have to pay $300 a month, let's say. This is why I never use credit cards. And you make $2,000 a month with your rent and your payments and stuff, right? And you're renting a room, let's say, and you have a car payment of $200, and you got a couple hundred for food, and boom, right? Let's just say all the credit cards at once say pay us in full. You would be what they call underwater, right? And it'll affect your whole life. You wouldn't be able to pay your rent. You wouldn't be able to eat. You wouldn't be able to pay your car, amongst other things, okay? So what happens with these banks and these banks runs, basically people just go in and say, I want my money now. And so my parents were born the year of the bank run in 1929. And so banks have you as a credit for X amount, but do they really have all that money in the bank? No. Can they cover it? You hope so, right? I mean, if not, they're taking from someone else to give you the money and hoping that person doesn't ask. So in a nutshell, that's what's happened. This bank came in, they needed money, they couldn't pay. People came in and asked, they couldn't pay. People pulled their money. This is second biggest bank collapse in history. And you go, what does that got to do with me? Well, there's about $3 trillion that's in the fucking financial system, and like $2 trillion is uninsured. But now you're going to say the FDIC is going to take care of me. Well, they can only cover, really, from the different things I've been reading, about 13% of the money supply. So if everyone comes at once and goes, I need my money now. Yeah. So that's basically what's happening. And then 3 banks closed last week. Another bank I'm involved with is, amazing bank. But if people pull their money, what can they do, right? So this is happening across the sectors of many things. And I'm telling you this because I think this is a world-changing event. Buy a donkey. I want to buy things that hold their value. I got to get some real estate or a fucking pair of Jordans retro. Or, I mean, seriously, I believe that whatever you have, keep a little bit of money, put your money in a shoebox. I believe in some Bitcoin, but I also believe you got to have some hard assets. But there's a lot of moves to be made right now. You're saying, Jamie, what are you talking about? The stock for First Republic this month is down 91%. That's insane. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm buying a shitload because I don't think they're going to go out of business. And you can ride that motherfucker up. Get your little Robin Hood out. Do it. Put in a G. I'm not telling you to do it. That's what I'm doing.
The Pentagon's expert warning about a possible mothership coming close to Earth. Stay with us.
So that's insane, right? You've heard about this, that they're saying that there's a mothership or it's floating above Earth. In my TikTok, I see so much UFO stuff. It's crazy. So much. I don't know if it's balloons. I don't know if it's rockets. Some people seem like almost desensitized to it. And then if it looks real, they're like, it's CGI. And it's crazy how much there is. The world literally is on fire. Tomorrow, there's a chance that Trump is going to go arrested, which is going to lead to riots. Aliens are hovering. Literally, the NBC News is saying there's a mothership. This is insane. The financial sector is having a lot of issues. Real estate is stagnant because no one can sell because the rates are too high. So no one will buy because they don't want to fucking overpay and use the rates. And no one will sell because if they sell, they'll have no place to live. And they're already locked into a good rate. So there's all this stagnation. Like this guy said, Silvergate, that was a crypto bank that crashed. Gemini had some issues. Do you know that Amazon laid off 9,000 employees, which again is a small part of their workforce, but like Meta laid off like 11% of their workforce? If you look at the workforces that are being laid off, the amount of people, but no one wants to talk about robots. And then ChatGPT is out here passing the fucking bar. So, I think we're on unprecedented times. It's insane. That right there is a very small video with a lot of saying. That's insane. Like, yo, what's her at? That's like a demon. How does that even do that?
I used to stay at the Buffalo Bills Hotel at the state line of California and Nevada so often as a kid. It was really fun. They used to have a huge double arcade. They had a log ride. They had a roller coaster. It was amazing. But now it's sad. This is the arcade, or what's left of it. They closed off the entire back part of the arcade. There's nothing left back there. It's only this tiny square in the front with a few machines, and there's nobody in there playing. It's empty and sad. The rides are, of course, not running. They closed that off as well. Not even the little kid rides are running. It's empty. This was the second arcade, and now it's just storage for tables and chairs. It's so dead. I rode this log ride so many times as a kid and had so much fun. It was my favorite part of the whole experience, and now it's sad and empty. We did have a cool Spider-Man slot machine, but we didn't have any luck on it. And this was our hotel room, which was difficult to close the door because it appears that someone had tried to break into it at some point. Not sure what happened there. And the worst part of our stay was our bed sheets. They were disgusting. This was my pillowcase when I arrived. And this was John's sheets. I don't even know what that was. Like, that's so gross. We wanted to call housekeeping to ask for fresh bedding, but when we tried to make the call, you'll see our phone right now. Yeah, there's no buttons to call anybody. I mean, obviously there's buttons, but not for the front desk, so I had to walk down there to ask for new sheets.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad because that hotel is iconic. And I feel like that is a metaphor for a lot of things. Like, there are certain things that are just boarded up. The world is not the same. It's not going to be the same. And I know there's places that are really getting back and thriving, but this was an iconic place. It was about 50 miles out from Vegas before you got there. And it was a cool, fun, adventurous land. And now just that arcade. Forget about the semen on the phone. Just the arcade that knows no games. It's just a bummer. I just feel like we're just in this isolated place. I know people are getting together and stuff and barbecuing, but there's still, I just drive around LA and I see so many places that are either empty or vacant or for lease. A lot of these office buildings are changing. Like I said, if some banks are collapsing and people are getting laid off from work and you see the homeless on the street more, it's happening before our eyes. The shift. Blade Runner world is happening, literally. Like, look at the guy in India. He has a $1 billion house in India, and it's literally this huge-ass skyscraper, and the bottom is so high you can't get to this people. But he's so far ahead of all the Indians, and that's a metaphor. I'm not saying he didn't earn it. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve his money. He does, but I'm just saying he built it in the city. You should look it up. It's an incredible building, and it's him and his wife and his 2 kids. And the people down below don't have enough for pupusa.
In March 2012, astronomers reported an unusual sighting of a UFO larger than Jupiter hovering near the sun for 24 hours straight, absorbing plasma. Despite initial skepticism, images from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory confirmed the event. Scientists were baffled by the object's massive size and ability to withstand the intense heat and radiation of the sun. Some speculated that it could be an alien spacecraft or a natural phenomenon yet to be discovered. What do you think? Leave a comment.
Again, like, this is fucking nuts. This is like, this is nuts. I mean, it looks like it's fueling up from the sun. Like, there's nothing on our planet that can protect us from the sun that close, A. B, there's nothing that's that big. It looked like a planet was loading up from the sun. It's just nuts. Everything they said was fantasy is becoming real, which, if you're like me, you believed it. But what I think is nuts is people aren't talking about. Like, this video should be everywhere. It should be on the news. What the fuck is, like, it's insane. That looked like a planet or a ship. They said plasma, which I don't know how the sun has plasma, fueling up on the sun and then jetting. Like, it makes sense to get energy from the sun. It's just wild. Wild, 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 wild.
Shit's getting weird. part of infinity. Every time I see stuff like this, it always reminds me that we don't know shit about shit about shit.
New images from the James Webb Telescope may be changing everything, giving scientists a glimpse at what our universe looked like more than 13 billion years ago. And it's not what they expected. In fact, the lead scientist of the study in Nature says he nearly spat out his coffee, saying, quote, "We just discovered the impossible." What he's referring to are 6 massive galaxies dating back 13 billion years. They were only expecting to find, in their words, tiny young baby galaxies. Not ones like this, not ones just as old as our own. Between the new James Webb discoveries and unidentified objects being shot out of the sky this month, questions have certainly been swirling about what is above us.
And then it goes deeper than that.
So I dug real deep into it, and I got to the understanding that we're living in a multi-dimensional universe, and there's at least 11 dimensions. Otherwise, the universe would collapse. Each dimension is a 90-degree angle right above the next one, compactified. So they're sitting right on top of us. So within less than a Planck unit of space above you, there's another dimension that actually exists with a whole nother universe happening simultaneously while we're sitting right here.
Craziness. Anyways, have a good day.
That's insane, too. They basically just said they discovered 6 other universes. I don't even know how to describe it. They were supposed to be like these baby sprout form universes, but they were supposed to discover 2, but they discovered 6, and they're fully formed like us. And we don't know how to get to them or where they are or whatever. I don't even know. This is so crazy. So that dude is saying the dimension right here, like right there, it's like if you were to take a video of me and I go, "Hi, Jamie," and then there's another one, "Hi, Jamie. Hi, 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 Jamie." Like, so if you did that 11 times, there's 11 different versions of that. Well, that's like the quantum realm. But apparently this shit is happening right here, and we can't access it because we don't have the senses. We don't have the abilities to. That's what I think all ESP is and all that stuff. It's like, that's what I feel is happening. Like our fucking quantum barrier is breaking and people are creeping through the other side and literally portals. Whew. It's just, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is, you know. Plus, Trump might get arrested. Hold on. One more. B.
And what seems to be happening is that when you first die, your consciousness becomes expansive, and they travel at the speed of thought. And so this is just happening as they've died, and they're just recalibrating and understanding their new abilities as a sovereign soul. And what happens every time? A deceased relative, or a spirit guide, or an angel, or Jesus Christ, or Buddha. And so what these near-death experiences will experience is whatever type of being that would have the most influence on them appears. A 15-foot Jesus appears to a Christian, and then starts showing them a life review of their entire life, picking specific areas, usually that have to do with fear, guilt, or shame. And that's what happens in these transitional spaces with these beings of light. They're always pointing out these areas where you didn't do the best, and then giving you the opportunity to reincarnate. And ultimately, it's always getting you to consent to going back into the light and then getting reincarnated into a new body. What always goes along with that is the memory wipe. And this is so contrary to what they're saying, because they say that, oh, life is a school. Oh, it's all about karma. Oh, this world, all the negative stuff is so you can learn and grow from it. But how if you can't remember it? How can you grow if you can't remember it? Exactly. It's more like they are harnessing some type of energy that, or our souls, our consciousness, they want us here. When in reality, once we leave this body, we become way more powerful. It's like our real being is intangible. It's an immortal soul. And we're being tricked to coming into this body in this subpar realm, this subpar dimension ruled by evil psychopaths. And even when we die, we get tricked to coming back in here rather than exploring the potentially infinite multiverse of much better dimensions that are most likely out there.
That's interesting. This is a new phenomenon. The great thing I love about TikTok is you learn a lot of stuff. The bad news is a guy in a bachelor a one-room bachelor in Van Nuys the guy to get that information from. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that guy is a scientific genius, or maybe he's just a guy in Van Nuys. I have no idea. But it is a fascinating concept, and I've heard this a few times now. Again, like, is TikTok doing this on purpose to people like me to freak me out or to take me off the bullshit? So is it a distraction? But there's something called the Soul Con, right? So this is a new thing. So, but I'm really going all over. If you believe that your body is just a vessel or an avatar, the thing that makes it sentient or conscious is an energy that they would call the soul or spirit. Now, when you die, you physically die, but your entity goes somewhere else, but it can't communicate with the people in the other with us anymore, because it's a different version of itself. That's what they're saying. So what they're saying is we go back into a new avatar, i.e. born again, but we can't remember anything. But we do have these deja vu moments, which might be the memory slipping through from the unwiped hard drive. Westworld does it really good in season 1, where the robots start remembering. Oh shit, it's a pat because their hard drives, their motherboards weren't wiped. So essentially, that's what we would be saying. But then the argument is, so how can you learn anything if you don't have any frame of reference? So the argument is that some bigger entity is controlling us to keep us almost working, and our energy is working, and it helps them and keeps us on our hamster wheels, our soul hamster wheels, if that makes sense. And by us being like this, it's giving energy, like we're powering someone else's existence. Does that make sense? Whew, these were some deep ones. Listen, like, subscribe, love you, miss you. Go to Rumble. I'm going to start making, you can watch all my stuff. It's going to be syndicated everywhere. It's going to be on Tubi. It's going to be on Local Now, which I have my own channel. It's going to be on Pluto. I'm going to put this stuff everywhere. So stick with me. YouTube is only one part of it. Patreon, if you like it, we go to the deeper stuff. Peace.